वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriya Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization. Text number 16 onwards. So Shukdev Goswami is further speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Grihat pravrajito dhira punya tirtha jalaplutaha shucho vivikta asino vidhivat kalpipasane. One should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, he should bathe regularly and sit down in a lonely place, duly sanctified. So, so basically, he is telling Parikshit Maharaj, like in the previous words, he said, at the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death, but one must cut off all attachment to the material body and everything pertaining to it and all desires thereof. So means towards the end of life, Parikshit Maharaj's question was, what should one do who's close to death, who's about to die? So means one must cut off all attachment to the material body and everything that is related to it. And then to cut off that attachment, what is it that one needs to do? One should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, he should bathe regularly and sit down in a lonely place, duly sanctified. To prepare oneself for the better next life, one must get down off one's so-called home. The system of Varnashram Dharma or Sanatan Dharma prescribes retirement from family encumbrances as early as possible after one has passed 50 years of age. Modern civilization is based on family comforts, the highest standard of amenities, and therefore, after retirement, everyone expects to live a very comfortable life in a well-furnished home, decorated with fine ladies and children, without any desire to get out of such a comfortable home. High government officers and ministers stick to their prized posts until death, and they neither dream nor desire to get out of homely comforts. Bound by such hallucinations, materialistic men prepare various plans for a still more comfortable life, but suddenly cruel death comes without mercy and takes away the great plan maker against his desire, forcing him to give up the present body for another body. So modern civilization goes the other way around actually. In today's world or today's society, they say the actual life starts when you're 50. Because by that age, generally, I mean, exceptions are there, generally, people have made enough money, kids have grown up, they're pretty much maybe they're off to college or they've gotten married, they have their own jobs, they have their own life, they're settled. So the money is there. So now it's a time to enjoy. Because so far we didn't enjoy because there were so many responsibilities. But now it's time to enjoy. So really, these days the life starts at 50. And Varnashram Dharma or scriptures say at age 50 one should think of sannyas, renunciation, leaving the family life, leaving the home, leaving the comforts of home. But why the scriptures talk like this? Because now, especially in Kali Yuga, now the age is not 100 years anymore. Nobody lives for 100 years. Hardly anybody lives. So it's better to now it is time to prepare for next life. But that is a goal of human life. that preparation can only happen when the body is still okay, still not like broken down that you cannot do anything. So 50 years, it's about the right time. And actually, 50 years means that is the time for one plus. One plus is going to different places of pilgrimage and taking darshan or meeting with sadhus, listening to the gurus, and trying to follow some some spiritual life. But what Prabhupada is saying, but the materialistic way of life is so now I'm retired, I have a comfortable life, I got well furnished home, and I have so much of income because I have saved money. Now I can really enjoy. And bound by such hallucinations, materialistic men prepare various plans for a still more comfortable life. But suddenly cruel death comes without mercy and takes away the great plan maker against his desire. So such a plan maker is thus forced to accept another body in one of the 8,400,000 species of life, according to the fruits of work he has performed. In the next life, persons who are too much attached to family comforts are generally awarded lower species of life on account of sinful acts performed during a long duration of sinful life, and thus all the energy of the human life is spoiled. So if somebody got very comfortable lives, means he has done lots of pious activities, and so he enjoyed in this life, but that means the human life is spoiled. Since we got this human body, we could have done much more to attain a better life in terms of not money or anything, but in terms of spiritual realization. We can work to attain that life in the next. So that makes this life also perfect and the next life also perfect. But if we don't, then the energy of the human life is spoiled. In order to be saved from the danger of spoiling the human form of life and being attached to unreal things, one must take warning of death at the age of 50, if not earlier. The principle is that one should take it for granted that the death warning is already there, even prior to the attainment of 50 years of age, and thus, at any stage of life, one should prepare himself for a better next life. The system of the Sanatana Dharma institution is so made that the follower is trained for the better next life without any chance that the human life will be spoiled. The holy places all over the world are meant for the residential purposes of retired persons getting ready for a better next life. Hmm. So Prabhupada says the holy places all over the world. So even in America there are holy places. So we can say all the ISKCON temples are holy places. Even in America they are. Intelligent persons must go there at the end of life, and for that matter, after 50 years of age, to live a life of spiritual regeneration for the sake of being freed from family attachment, which is considered to be the shackle of material life. One is recommended to quit home just to get rid of material attachment, because one who sticks to family life until death cannot get rid of material attachment. And as long as one is materially attached, one cannot understand spiritual freedom. One should not, however, become self complacent simply by leaving home or by creating another home at the holy place, either lawfully or unlawfully. So, Prabhupada is saying one becomes self complacent simply by leaving home, by creating another home at the holy place. Yes, I'll buy a nice house in Vrindavan and I'll live comfortably over there. Or not just a small flat. I'll make a nice palace for me in Vrindavan. And in fact, many devotees have done that. But Vrindavan is not a place for enjoyment. Vrindavan is a place for us. It's for austerity. So we have to learn to live simple life. When we are living in Dham, it should be very simple because we don't want to create extra baggage when we are living in Dham. Simple life of more and more time in chanting and hearing and other services. That's what Dham is for. Many persons leave home and go to such holy places, but due to bad association, again become family men by illicit connection with the opposite sex. The illusory energy of matter is so strong that one is apt to be under such illusion at every stage of life, even after quitting one's happy home. Wrong. The illusory energy of matter is so strong that one is apt to be under such illusion at every stage of life, even after quitting one's happy home. Therefore, it's essential that one practice self-control by celibacy without the least desire for sex indulgence. For a man desiring to improve the condition of his existence, such indulgence is considered suicidal or even worse. Therefore, to live apart from family life means to become self controlled in regard to all sense desires, especially sex desires. The method is that one should have a duly sanctified sitting place made of straw, deerskin, and carpet, and thus sitting on it, one should chant the holy name of the Lord without offense, as prescribed above. Okay, Prabhupada wrote so strongly against this sex desire or sex indulgence. to to understand it even deeply, um, how to put it in the right words? What is? I mean, we have to. Yes, sex desire, sex indulgence is obviously, literally what we know of. Yes, it is there, but also to enjoy any of our senses without without serving Krishna. That can be considered also as sex desire. Basically, sex is what? It's calm. If we look at the Hindi word calm means anyway, if I want to enjoy my senses, it could be eyes, it could be ears, it could be nose, it could be tongue, it could be belly, it could be the genitals also. So basically, the idea is uh, one should try, and idea is one should engage himself so much in the service of Krishna that any of these desires they don't crop up. It's very difficult. It's not easy. We don't become rock. We don't become stones. We don't become um, devoid of any emotions or sentiments. We have all this. Only thing is, slowly, we have to try to purify those desires by engaging ourselves in Krishna's service so much that these desires go away. And and that is in this day and age, that's the only way. I mean, if we think we can do it by yoga, of course, Prabhupada did mention we should make a duly sanctified sitting place made of straw, deerskin, and carpet. But that's a method of doing hatha yoga. In this day and age, even that is not possible for us. Of course, Shukdev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj 5,000 years ago, so that's a different time. But this day and age, it's not possible, not practical. So our method is to engage ourselves in the service of Krishna. And when we do that, there is no need of going to a forest or any other place. We can make our home as Vaikuntha, because our home can be turned into Vaikuntha if we are serving Krishna over there. Our home can be as good as any holy place. But the whole idea is not just to show off that I'm living in, say, Vrindavan or other holy places, but the mind is still going on towards going towards fulfilling my desires, or thinking that um, if I was living in Delhi, or I was living in London, or I was living in New York, I would have been much better than I was in Vrindavan. That will be completely wrong. That is a real sex desire, actually. That I should have been uh, engaging. I should have been enjoying my senses than living in Vrindavan. But because of some fear or peer pressure or social obligation, or what will people say if I leave Vrindavan Dham, then that's not living in Vrindavan. So it's better to live in Delhi or in other places where completely in the service of Krishna. Our consciousness is Vrindavan consciousness. By Prabhupada's mercy, he has made so much of wonderful arrangements, a wonderful society. Anywhere we live, if we are following Prabhupada's teachings in the association of devotees serving Krishna, we are living in Vrindavan. There's no difference at all. So the idea of sannyas, idea of leaving the house is to engage ourselves in service of Krishna, engage ourselves more and more in hearing and chanting about Krishna. Whole idea is that even if somebody lives in Vrindavan, doesn't mean, of course, the dham will have its effect, but even if somebody lives in Vrindavan, doesn't mean he's beyond all these desires, beyond all the sense gratification desires. It doesn't mean that. Of course, I'm not saying everybody living in dham is a hypocrite. I'm not saying that, but it's not a guarantee either. So one has to prepare, and if living outside, we prepare ourselves so much that we are eligible and we are qualified, then Krishna can make arrangements for us to go and live in dham. Everything, ultimately, everything is controlled by Krishna and Krishna's energies. So they can make the arrangement. So, but the idea is towards the end of life, one has to start getting detached from the material life, from the family life. One has to. And the real way of doing that is to engage ourselves more and more and more and more in the service of Krishna. That's the only way. And we cannot engage ourselves more and more in service of Krishna if we haven't practiced it when we were young. So of course, it doesn't mean we cannot take it up when we are old, but it's better to start early. But it's better to start no matter when, but it's best to start early. That's the whole idea. But the idea is to engage more and more and get out of the attachment of family life. And text 17. Abhyasen manasa shuddham trivid brahmaksharam param mano yachejit sashvaso brahma bijam vismaram. After sitting in the above manner, make the mind remember the three transcendental letters Om, and by regulating the breathing process, control the mind so as not to forget the transcendental seed. Omkar or the Pranav is a seed of transcendental realization, and it is composed of the three transcendental letters A, U, M. By its chanting by the mind in conjunction with the breathing process, which is a transcendental but mechanical way of getting into trance, as devised by the experience of great mystics, one is able to bring the mind, which is materially absorbed, under control. This is the way of changing the habit of the mind. The mind is not to be killed. Mind or desire cannot be stopped, but to develop a desire to the quality of. So again, to bring the mind in control, which Arjun said in Gita, that it's very difficult to control. To bring the mind in control, one has to practice. In fact, we generally it's everybody's argument or excuse is my mind is not in my control. My mind goes here and there. My mind doesn't listen to me. Many things. But actually, mind is the only person who can listen to us. Nobody else will. The mind, the soul is more powerful than mind. But when the soul starts saying, my mind does not listen to me, the mind will stop listening to us. And when the soul says, yes, my mind is in control, slowly, 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 it will come in control. When the soul starts finding some spiritual pleasure in some activities, or some pleasure, not just spiritual, even material pleasure, whether the mind likes it or not, the mind goes towards that. So mind is just a tool, it's an instrument. Yes, it is powerful tool, but it's just an instrument. Soul is more powerful than the mind. Intelligence is more powerful than mind. And soul is even powerful than intelligence. Soul has forgotten that I am powerful. So that's why all the ways, mechanical ways, like Prabhupada is saying, chanting Om. The Hare Krishna mantra is, is more powerful than Om. Hare Krishna Mahamantra, now both are sound vibrations, we can say that. But Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it's a Nam. Nam is non-different from Krishna. Om is a representation of Krishna. It's just like saying, telling somebody, oh, sir. If a person is a manager, we call him sir. Or if we call him by name. Of course, if you call him by name, that will have more powerful, more intimate relationship with that person than calling him sir. So Om is like that, calling him sir. But Krishna, when we say Krishna, it's Krishna himself. And Krishna's, all his energies are in his name. So chanting Krishna's name obviously is more powerful than chanting Om. But anyway, whichever way it is possible to control the mind, we should do that. Better than this is just sitting with the mind, like Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj has also given this. There's a book called Vaishnav K, and in that he has explained, sit with the mind, make your mind sit in front of you and talk to the mind and tell him, my dear mind, why don't you listen to me? You have to listen to me. And we can tell them, like, this is, my dear mind, this is my time to chant. So we are going to chant. So you better sit down quietly and listen to chanting of the holy name. He will listen. But if it's, oh, my dear mind, you're very strong, you do whatever you want to do, you take over me. So mind will do that also. Mind is our instrument. It's just a device. And we can use it the way we want to. Here Prabhupada is writing, it's a long purport. So the Omkar is a note of address, such as O my Lord, just as Om Hari, Om means O my Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we have explained before, the Lord's holy name is identical with the Lord Himself. So also is Omkar. But persons who are unable to realize a transcendental personal form or name of the Lord on account of their imperfect senses, in other words, the neophytes, are trained to the practice of self-realization by this mechanical process of regulating the breathing function and simultaneously repeating the pranav omkar within the mind. As we have several times expressed, since the transcendental name, form, attributes, pastimes, etc., of the personality of Godhead are impossible to understand with the present material senses, it is necessary that through the mind, the center of sensual activity, such transcendental realization be set into motion. The devotees directly fix their minds on the person of the Absolute Truth. But one who is unable to accommodate such personal features of the Absolute is disciplined in the impersonality to train the mind to make further progress. So many times for people, it's very difficult to fix the mind on a person, God, because to understand Krishna is God, Krishna, the cowherd boy, the teenager himself, very difficult. Other processes are given, chant Om, think of impersonal feature of the Lord, and later on, Shukdev Goswami will explain the universal form, Virat Roop of Krishna. Not think a person feature, think in this way. So chanting of Om and getting out of this material family attachments, it's, it's slowly, Shukdev Goswami is taking him step by step towards towards the ultimate goal. So I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Amazing lecture, Guruji. All the
Hare
points were very.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Any other question or comment? So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.